Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box, where today I want to wish the happiest of birthdays to an absolute virtuoso of all things piano and keyboard, and that, of course, is Alan Pasqua. Now, Alan Pasqua might not be a name that you're instantly familiar with, but chances are you've heard a lot of the stuff he's been on because in addition to being a great performer and composer and collaborator in his own right, he's played on sessions and been on tours with some of the absolute best musicians of all time. He's played with Santana, for example. He's played with John Fogerty of CCR, Alan Holdsworth, a very frequent collaborator. He formed in the very late 80s a band called Giant, who were sort of they would have been huge if they formed a few years earlier. They were very much that great sort of AOR rock sound of the 80s, but they were really just on the cusp of the 90s when rock really changed. But they were virtuosic, well produced, beautiful writing. Alan was one of the co founders of the band. He's played with people ranging from Eddie Money, great singer. We don't hear about him enough, to people like Joe Walsh, to Bob Dylan, Cher. The list goes on. Great collaborator and great composer. But if you really want to know, if you really want to know just how cool Alan Pasqua is, you have got to put on one of the very best albums of all time. And this is by the new Tony Williams Lifetime. Of course, the original Lifetime was formed with Tony, John McLaughlin, Larry Young. Ever so slightly after that, Jack Bruce of Cream joined. But the new Lifetime, after a series of lineup changes that followed on from the first Lifetime, was a new project. It was a tighter, funkier Lifetime, but with that same raw energy, that same virtuosity. And this band comprised, of course, of Tony Williams on the drums, Tony Newton, great soul R&B and jazz bass player, on bass, surprisingly enough, Alan Holdsworth, a young Alan Holdsworth on guitar, and Alan Pasqua on the keyboards. And the album from 76 was called Believe It, 75 rather. And it's really, if you had to, I'll put it this way. If I had to introduce the jazz rock fusions genre to someone and they said, right, what's an album that both showcases all of the virtuosity and adventure of this style, but in a manner that's accessible, that has groovy beats, that has harmonies that are relatable, that has virtuosity that you can really relate to in the sense that it just hits you right there, I am in the presence of sonic greatness. That album is Believe It. There is not a bad track on the album. If you get one of the later editions with a couple of bonus tracks, there is still not a bad track on the album. And for many, that was their introduction to the great keyboard playing of Alan Pasqua that really complemented the wonderful lead guitar playing of the man, the myth, the legend, Alan Holdsworth. The new Lifetime lineup went on to do another album the following year, Million Dollar Legs. Good album, but Believe It is really the one that has really stood the test of time. All instrumental, which I think also added to its allure as a kind of just monumental fusion album. When I was in LA, I would see Alan Pasqua play all sorts of jazz gigs at intimate, really cool venues, from the LA Art Museum that they got rid of under very dubious circumstances, to, of course, the Great Baked Potato. I've seen him with so many people, including with the late, great Alan Holdsworth, because they went on to collaborate a lot long after the sad death of Tony Williams. And of course, Alan is now gone as well. So if you listen to that album, and if Alan Pasqua never did anything else, and he has done a lot else, he would be a legend just for that alone. Check out Giant. A giant of a band. If you like that sort of AOR rock style, if you like, for example, the English band FM from the 80s, is distinct from the Canadian band FM, I think that you would really like that as well. And just Google or YouTube rather, Alan Pasqua, and you'll see so many great live performances from solo piano stuff to other jazz stuff. The guy can play it all. So a very happy birthday to Alan Pasqua. Here's to many, many more, and here's to all you out there listening to some of his stuff today and on other days. Like, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Take care.